And welcome back to the first Hoop Scoop edition of 2019. The coach Doug Biega joins us here, and as always, sponsored by our good friend PJ Latsko at Beaver County Auto. And the three of us were together last night. Good times, and we took in Pitt versus Robert Morris. Before we get into some X's and O's as far as what you saw on the court, obviously the big event of the night was the opening of the UP Events Center. What were your initial take? What are your thoughts on what you saw as far as Andy Toole's new home?
Well, you and I talked about this extensively as the event was unfolding last night. I thought it was fantastic. I thought the court is beautiful. The venue we joked, it had that new car smell to it. Everywhere you went to was beautiful. The social event with President Howard was off the charts. The food, the drink, the people, the camaraderie, the support, the enthusiasm around Robert Morris basketball was outstanding. You could feel it last night. The crowd was right on top of the court. Someone in front of me joked around, they must be from the area. And they said, kind of reminds me of Beaver Falls' court, the way it's slanted down and everybody's right at your feet. And that they hit something there, that it has that cozy atmosphere.
Yeah.
I absolutely loved every inch of the arena. I think Andy's going to love it. I think it's going to be a big bump in their recruiting, because where are you going to find a better facility than that right around here for that level of Division I basketball? And they even had the big TV set up outside where people who couldn't get in because it was a sellout, because it was such a big event, they had the giant TV set up outside, and they braved the weather and still watched the game on ESPNU. And then they had the fireworks, which while we were waiting in our traffic to come home, their fireworks were shooting off from Joe Walton Stadium. So it's a home run of a night for Robert Morris University.
Yeah, I think it's a perfect size gym for what they are. But I guess the key that some people are talking about today is last night was the event. Are they going to be able to sustain? Obviously, they're not going to get sellouts every night, but hopefully for them, if Andy keeps up the winning that he's had over the years, that building's going to look a lot better, regardless of how many people are in there, as opposed to the Soul Center.
It would probably be a really good idea if they scheduled an event game every year. Pitt, maybe Duquesne would probably bring similar heat that Pitt did last night. Maybe go out and reach out to Calipari, see if he wants to come home for another Kentucky at Robert Morris game. An event should be there it's too nice not to have an event like last night every single year. It's beautiful, it's spectacular. But there's no way they can maintain that kind of crowd every night. They just don't have that kind of following, that kind of conference cachet, as you will. But as he keeps doing what he's been doing, which is winning at that level, I'm going to go to games this year when I typically wouldn't in the past, just because of the arena, and then you fall in love with the product on the field or on the court, and that's how you build things like that.
All right, now let's get on to the court.
Yeah.
Pitt stayed with him Robert Morris stayed with Pitt for the half, tied.
It seemed the other way around. It seemed like Pitt was hanging in with them.
They were hanging with them right after the 7-0 start. But then the second half, as most expected, Pitt talent prevailed there.
Yeah.
What did you see to allow, first of all, to allow Robert Morris to stay in there, but in the second half, what pulled away for them?
Well, obviously the enthusiasm of the event gave Robert Morris that extra oomph, that extra momentum that they carried through the first half. They were playing really well. Pitt didn't shoot particularly well in the first half outside of Murphy. Pitt played well enough defensively. A bad foul on a three kind of turned the momentum when Pitt was up 7-0. That hit Robert Morris went on that 18-0 run right after that. But in the second half, I think Pitt kind of remembered who they are and the type of athlete that they are recruiting as opposed to Robert Morris, and they kind of flexed their muscles in the second half, especially defensively, especially Brown inside. He dominated inside defensively, and he should against that competition. The ACC is going to be a little bit of a different animal, but last night he flexed his muscle.
Give me a player on each team that maybe stood out to you. Maybe it doesn't have to be the leading scorer, but somebody that just stood out to you.
Well, it was Brown for sure inside defensively, and I absolutely loved Trey McGowan's game last night. I thought he was really good in the second half in finishing. He was getting to the hoop whenever he wanted to, and he was really finishing well, distributing the ball well. I thought he played a really good all-around game. I mean, I had 25 points, I believe is what he ended up with, and not many of those were perimeter shots. Those were mostly just at the rim free throws, which is what you want to see when you can get to the hoop whenever you want to. Robert Morris was a total team effort. They're not going to wow you with an individual superstar. Andy, I guess, is who stood out to me. Andy really coached his butt off last night. They had a great game plan. He hung with an ACC team for a little bit over a half of basketball, so that's who he is. He's going to do that with those guys.
I guess the only, we're gonna, this is going to start coming up as the storyline develops. Hopefully for Jeff's case, it doesn't last too much longer. But Xavier Johnson,
Yeah.
he just hasn't seemed himself the first 3 games, and I don't know if that's expectations. There was NBA talk. I don't know what it is, but from an untrained eye here, he does not look like the same player to me. What is there a reason to concern, or is it just 3 games in?
Both, or perhaps he's on film now. Last year as a freshman, there really wasn't a great deal of film on him the first half of the season, and then they maybe adjusted to him in the second half. Now they kind of know he's the guy and they know his tendencies. There's a lot more film study going on with these elite coaches. They're going to be able to take some things away. Maybe he's letting too much NBA talk get into his ear, and he's not doing the little things that he was doing at this point last year. But there was a shot last night that as a high school coach, I would have gone bananas. You're up 17 points with the ball against a really game opponent. Like Robert Morris wasn't dying easily. And you finally kind of seize control of a big game like that, and you're up 17 with the ball, 4 minutes to go. You're on a 1 versus 3 fast break, and you pull up and shoot a 3. I know Coach Capel wasn't happy with the shot. As a high school coach, I would have gone crazy with that shot. I wouldn't be able to sleep at night on that shot. So that shot bothered me. I don't know what the thought process was at that point in the game, but maybe that's a little bit of that NBA talk, and he was trying to pad some numbers, quite honestly. Hopefully not, and we'll see as the ACC season unfolds.
All right, Coach. Pitt, things are going to get a little harder Friday night. Morgantown or West Virginia. Luckily for them, it's at the Pete. We'll see if that makes a difference, but we'll catch up with you next week. We got that game. Duquesne has a big opponent, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Ready to go. Basketball season, man.
All right, Coach.
All right.